Hello, I'm Chris Athanas. Tech Sport's coming out Tuesday. I have to close that dang thing finally once and for all. Let me get this camera situated here. Hey, today we're going to be reviewing Robin He with another one of his great videos. Me and him are kindred spirits from different places in the world, but we're seeing the same stuff. And he's going to talk about what it means to be the difference between engineers and business people, which as an engineer, you know, if you're going to be in the United States or just in the world in general, now the whole world's going like this, you have to be in business to really going to make money. You have to be the source of the business, and you may not get there today or tomorrow or 6 months from now or even a year or 2 years, but that's where you have to head if you want to actually take advantage of your skill set fully. Working for someone else is never going to fully cut it. Sorry. It's good to go that you have to work for someone else for a while. You can't just skip it. Some people do. Those are exceptions, but most people have to go work into a business. And what you discover is it's very inefficient. And you'll see a bunch of things that you can do that people around you who don't have the business mindset are not going to see and don't even care about. But you really can't really talk to them about this at all really much. Maybe find one other person at the company that might be in this mindset. But this is the future for software engineers if you don't want to get caught in the employee trap.
Hey, what is up, guys? Now that there are 1,000 of you, I feel like it is time to explain what this channel is really about. This isn't a typical tech channel. I actually started out as a business school graduate, but by the end of my MBA, I felt like something was missing. Although I was already self-taught web developer, I realized I lacked hard skills like mathematics and physics. So I decided to pursue electrical engineering and computer science, and it was an eye-opening experience. In engineering school, I was shocked by the huge gap between the business people and the engineers. Let me break it down for you. Business people often use technical buzzwords without fully understanding them. They focus on financial engineering to maximize profits, and they lack hard skills like coding or technical knowledge.
You know what's funny about me is I started working when I was a little kid. I started programming computers when I was about 7 or 8 years old, going to the Boston Computer Museum at this PDP-11. That's where I started working on. But other than that, I've had all kinds of different jobs, mostly manual labor stuff, picking peas and working at a dog kennel and washing dishes and stuff like that. So I understand the business world from a really early age. And it really shocks me because I had this grounding in this, doing all this business work and contracting from I was a little kid. I was really doing contracting, writing software for people and helping them out with stuff. Yeah, it was nuts. Well, not really. I thought it was just normal. It's I had to get money somehow. My parents weren't going to give it to me. So I was like, okay, I have to go work for it. And I would do all these odd jobs all these times. So I had this grounding in knowledge of business operations, what people want, how they want to be treated, how they want to be greeted, all that stuff. It was I just know how to do it because I've been doing it since I was a little kid. And I get, you get spanked when you really want to get a job done and you can't find the work or whatever. All those stuff that goes into it. Anyway, but I felt, and it's shocking that most engineers have no knowledge of that stuff. So people have gone through that experience. He went through the MBA route, and now he's coming to the engineering side. He sees it a little clearer. And that's kind of where my head was. I always had the computer thing, and I always wanted to do business as well. And I did a startup, and I sold it, and that was I'm coming back now after taking a nice little vacation, or not. Well, I took a little mini retirement actually, and coming back into software development now, and seeing this opportunity that's in front of us that most people just can't see because there's the jobs are dried up, and the big cushy 0 interest rate policy's over. I can't make my startup. It's no. That 0 interest rate stuff was just a limited time only. That I'm surprised it lasted 15 years, but that's not coming back.
And on the engineering side, if money was not an object, they would always build using the coolest and the newest tech available. They feel like they're asked to build impossible things without proper understanding. They lack soft skills like communication and business sense. This gap mismatch creates a real communication problem. Business people struggle to articulate technical requirements, while engineers have trouble explaining complex concepts in non-technical terms. Engineers hate talking to business people because they feel like they're just giving orders without any context.
Right, because there's a whole communication mismatch. This is that siloing that big companies are totally okay with because they have managers that manage the silos, right, and can communicate between the two. Not very well, but that's what they think that's going on. But if you can do the business and the engineering, and this is an elite small number of people who are willing, have already gone down that road, working for somebody else and working for these big companies or one thing, and it's like, oh, and they can now see like some of the things that they were siloed in are no longer silos with KMP and using Kotlin to do all the different targets from your back end to the front end on web, iOS, Android, all the things, all the different targets is one language, one set of libraries, one UI. You can do a lot more with just when you just one thing. You learn Kotlin, you're good.
And business people struggle to communicate their vision in a way that makes sense to engineers. This is where I come in. I sit right in the middle between the business people and engineers. I can speak both languages fluently without pissing off anyone, at least too much. My goal here is to help bridge this gap, combining the hard skills of engineering with the soft skills of business. And based on the feedback I've received, I've done pretty well at it. My unique perspective comes with real-world experience navigating both the business and the technical worlds. Yeah. I've been in the trenches, and I'm here to share what I've learned. So, if you're a business person looking to understand tech better, or an engineer trying to grasp the business side of things.
No, it's going to be us. It's going to be us. Forget the business people. They're not going to come down and do the technical stuff. Robin, they're not going to come down and do the technical stuff, man. It's for engineers who have a business mindset, who see this opportunity that you and I both see, and are going to go for it. So the business people, they don't care. But if you can get engineers to talk how their customers want to hear it and how business people want to hear it, that makes a lot more sense.
Channel is for you, but let's clear up a few things. This channel isn't focused on the extreme ends of the spectrum in the business and engineering. You won't see me discussing technical coding or in-depth marketing fluff and
I'll do that.
Business psychology. There are plenty of other channels that do that way better than me. Instead, we're focusing on...
But we would like to hear your opinion about those things, for sure, Robin.
On navigating market dynamics in a way that makes practical business sense. For example, people were upset because I used the term frameworker that has a negative connotation.
That's actually pretty good term, actually. Because I don't know if you figured it out yet, but those platforms, those frameworks, Angular and React and all these other frameworks, they lock you into stuff that, honestly, the web browser, web components, which I have some projects on my GitHub about this, you can do web components and just get rid of all those guys and just do it natively. If all this stuff is there, that now that these frameworks, Angular and stuff like that, they're all just using the web, those web components underneath the hood. So, and they're putting all this junk on top to keep you vendor locked in, right? Locked into their cadence and their mindset and everything like that. But a lot of those guys don't realize you don't have to do that stuff anymore. I know it's the most popular, most mainstream thing, but it's not necessary. You don't have to. For reactivity, you don't have to use React or Angular. It's built in the browser now, web components.
However, they couldn't come up with a better term because there isn't one. That's when I knew I was onto something novel. I've also received a lot of pushback due to my contrarian perspective. And that's okay because trying to please everyone often means pleasing no one.
Oh, no, we're going against the trend on this one. Me and Rob and me and you we're bucking the trend. Right now it's like, I want my job back. When's the zero interest rate's gonna happen again? I want my lattes at noon in the cafeteria.
So I believe there are many like-minded people out there, and that's why I created this channel, to find those individuals who appreciate unconventional approaches and build a community together. And based on...
Yeah, because I've seen this before. When the big computer mainframe stuff, when I was working with my first computer, it was a DEC, it was a mini computer, it was a huge size, half the size of a room. I was like, then I was just a little kid, right? And all of a sudden the micro stuff started coming out. I saw these little LED things. I was like, that don't make no sense. But when the first wave of micros, which was the Apple II actually, Apple II, Commodore 64 or PET, and the TRS-80, when those three came out, I got the TRS-80. I was the only cheapest one because my parents weren't going to pay for any of that stuff. And I had to do all this work, all these chores to get that damn thing. And so that's when I realized, that's why these big companies are now in trouble, because there's another revolution happening. These small players, which everybody thought was just hobbyist toy, actually totally revolutionized their business. Now that the juggernaut that was IBM is no longer IBM. It's now Microsoft, who is doing BASIC, writing a basic interpreter to make these initial machines useful, so you could do something with them. And now it's one of the biggest companies in the world. Oh, okay. So tell me again how this doesn't happen every once in a while. There's revolutions that happen, but nobody was telling Mike, and nobody knew Microsoft from anything. He was just a kid. It was just a kid dropped out of school. Happened to hack together a version of the DARPA basic, or not the was not DARPA, but anyway.
The comments and DMs I've received, there are a lot of you out there. So if you're interested in creating, expanding, and sustaining income with your technical skills, hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Yeah, well, go give him a like and subscribe. He's talking some good stuff. I'm gonna be on a little bit different mindset, but his is the kind of person who is almost getting it, but is still like, I want my good job back. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a like and subscribe. It's KC. He's a small channel as well.
I saw a video the other day, and it was about tech lead, and it was talking about how he made a video saying that software engineering is grunt work. I wouldn't characterize it as grunt work. That is not the term that I would use.
It's definitely got a lot of aspects of grunt work in it. I've done a lot of grunt work, as I mentioned. And yeah, there's quite a bit of aspects of grunt work involved with software engineering and software development in general. And I don't think that ever will go away, because you have to use your mind and you have to tell the machine exactly what you want it to do. It has no idea that you're creating what it has. It has no idea. So you have to tell everything. So that's never going to go away. So that's grunt work.
That being said, I do know what he was talking about, and I do know what he was referring to. And I can speak about it from my perspective. So the reason I got into software engineering was because I like to build things. I like creativity. I like solving problems in new ways, in ways that haven't been done before. And so that's kind of what led me along this path to get into software engineering. Obviously, the money was a great aspect of it too. But
yeah, I mean, so when I got involved, there was no money. I was just being a total nerd. Totally just like, there's no money involved in any of that stuff. I had no access to it. I was doing random chores. Yeah, so this money thing was brand new, right? The last 15 years or so. It's been like, okay, we can make easy money because the zero interest rate environment. So that zero interest rate environment, people think that's normal. Not normal, not coming back.
I said that to say that when I had the idea to get into it, I had an idea about what I thought it was, and I've been doing this since 2014. So it definitely has changed since then. And I think
it's changed. Well, it's been changing the whole time, because it's knowledge work. We're discovering new ways of doing things in different ways, and how we can apply these things to different people, and there's costs involved. This is what he's going to be talking about, a little bit of that stuff. He can get into a little bit.
I think the thing that I learned quite quickly once I actually started working was a lot of the work that I do professionally, a lot of the work that software engineers do professionally, is not the kind of stuff that you dream about. You don't dream about fixing bugs. You don't dream about building someone else's vision.
So when you're building a motor, you don't dream about screwing in bolts and using the different tools to get the engine part off, and then sealing up the O-rings and checking the torsion bar tensioner. But that's what's involved with getting a car going, running, getting a race car going, or a truck going, or some sort of or taxi going. Yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to get a motor running. And all the things that's part of that, making that engine work. And that's the value that you bring, because most people correctly don't want to dick with it. They don't want to mess with that shit. I mean, I don't want to, but that's what's involved, right? That's the barrier to entry, sir.
We look at society, right? We look at how society has been transformed by technology. We look at, some of the biggest companies in the world are tech companies, Apple, Microsoft, Google, right? And we look at the people.
Well, I don't know if they're the biggest, but they can make a big splash, and they're the number one on the stock market. Doesn't necessarily mean they're the biggest. There's companies that have much larger, more sophisticated lines of operation, which you don't really hear about. It's called the petroleum companies. But yeah,
people that made those companies, you look at the people that founded Google. You look at someone like Mark Zuckerberg, people that had an idea, and in their garage or their basement, they went and built the idea. And
right, but where did they get that idea? So this is where people don't know the history of all this stuff. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg did not invent Facebook. He was not the one that came up with the idea of a message board that your friends can all make friends and post stuff and talk to each other. No, that was happening. I ran a bulletin board system. They were called BBS in my time. It was one person at a time. You dialed into it on your phone from one computer to another, and then you could leave messages for people. You could download software. You could download pictures. You could do all that stuff. You upload stuff. You can send messages to your friends. All that stuff. So that idea of a message board had been around since when I was running them was 84, 85. And they were around before that, like late 70s, early 80s. As soon as modems became a thing and auto answer modems became a thing, which is like 1980, 1981 or so, when that became a real thing, then you had people just having computers call each other. And you'd have this whole FidoNet thing was sending messages all across. It was like an early version of the internet. It was all done with phones. And they would dial and send batch messages of messages to other BBSs. You have this network of BBSs. That was all in the 80s and 90s. So this whole thing, like Mark Zuckerberg in his basement came up with Facebook. No, he didn't. That's bunk. That's bunk. He did not do that. That may be the story. He came up with it all on his own. No, it's like that stuff was true. No, he got picked up by the DARPA, because that's like a DARPA in my head. They got picked up by DARPA. It was a thing called LifeLog. They were trying to start. They get everybody put their life online. And they said, oh, look, we could change this thing, morph it in this Facebook thing, which is already popular with the elite, right? Because it was Harvard. You had to be a college student. You had to be work at Harvard, whatever. You had to be in the elite. So that's how he caught it in there. It's like, oh, it's an elite thing. I'm special. I'm in the know. I'm in the cool kids club. So that became now a surveillance apparatus run by the deep state, like run by DARPA. It's like, come on. It's like, you got to know this stuff, man.
Changed the world, made themselves rich in the process. I think a lot of us, when we had the idea to become software engineers, we weren't necessarily striving for that, but that image was in our minds. That image.
Really? Man, when I was starting, I just like things blinking and the lights going off, and I could like make a machine look like it's doing something. And I'm playing games as well. I didn't care about money or prestige. That's just the latest. Man. People just got programmed with this prestige thing. It's like, nobody cares, man. Even at that level, nobody cares. They don't care. It's like, what are you doing? They don't care what your prestige is. It's like, what are you trying to make and what are you trying to do? If you don't know now, are you trying to collect your skills together to get something together to do something later on? That's what's interesting to those folks. Not what how many millions and billions is your stock work today? They don't care about that stuff.
It's not a developer of the glamorous life that you can get from being a software engineer.
Oh, glamorous life. What is this rock star glamorous life thing? Man, people who hang out in bars and those clubs are all fucking losers. I'm just gonna say it outright. I've spent a lot of time in those places when I sold my company and went through a divorce and went off on my own, whatever, because I didn't want that, but that's what happened. Man, I spent a lot of time out in bars and clubs. Those people are just trash. Those people, nothing happened. Nobody went anywhere. All they got was arrested or strung out, or they found Jesus because they got toes strung out. They had to, before they went into the ditch. It's like, come on, man.
And I think what John Matek was getting at is that the reality for most software engineers is not that. The reality is, especially in today's world, because if we go back to, Facebook's main...
Yeah, don't read the brochure, man. Forget the marketing hype. Anytime you hear things like, oh, it's the most amazing thing, just assume it's not. Just assume whatever they're hyping up is not a thing. It's Black Pearl, it's pretty dark, but it's like, think about your own stuff, man. What do you want to do with this stuff? Like, if you don't have the skills, the gap to figure out how to make it, figure out that you can find out anything on the internet. But you can't be like, I'm going to do it for clout. I want to get respect. It's like, stop with that stuff.
In 2004, Google, I think it was a few years before that. If we go back to that time, the world was a very different place. Software wasn't as integrated in our everyday lives as it is today.
No, it was. Oh, it definitely was. It's not as much as it is now because of the cell phones, but it was definitely all over the place. People were super into it. It's not as huge as it is now, like widespread, but it was definitely all over the place.
And back then, if you built software, it was likely that you were building brand new software to solve a problem in a new way.
No. There was a lot of refinement of the same old stuff, changing a little bit here, changing a little bit there. We had technological breakthroughs, mostly the cell phone, the iPhone, when Apple perfected and got that thing with the store and everything. So getting apps on there, and they get the network speeds were high enough so you could be out and about with your phone without the slow network or having to be hooked into something somewhere. That's when we see a lot of the big breakthroughs. That's when that stuff started coming through. But it was the same old stuff that's been around forever.
The difference between that and now is that now software is everywhere. Pretty much everything, every aspect of our lives has software in it.
Not every aspect, but if you stay online, you'll think that is. So I specifically eschewed software and technology after I sold my company. I went and got into yoga and meditation and all that crazy shit, ayahuasca, and I became a Thai massage therapist for about 5 years, working on people's bodies, zero technology at all. And yeah, there's a whole big life outside the tech. just by the way, I know it's really hard to believe that all the things you see online is like everything but it's just gotta be tech. No, there's life outside tech. I live in Mexico in a little town called Tepoztlan. They don't do tech here, and they're having a pretty good time, man.
And the result of that is you have a lot of companies and businesses seeing software as a necessity, and a lot of these companies and businesses aren't doing anything particularly exciting. But,
doing business operations are not particularly exciting, sir. Actually delivering value consistently over time is not really an exciting thing. Even the stuff at the amusement parks where you go ride the roller coasters, the people that work there, they're like, oh my God, it's a roller coaster, yay! Every single day. No, they're cranking on wrenches, striking bolts, doing measurements, showing up, doing their shift, leaving, making sure nothing breaks and anything. They test and like all that stuff. That's boring. It's called money. It's called economy. They don't pay you for stuff that you like to do. You pay them for stuff you like to do. Ding dong. Come on, man.
On top of that, what happens is, because they view software as a necessity, which it is, they don't give the freedom to software engineers that you would get to be able to do something creative.
Well, why would they? They're paying you to solve their problem. Look, man, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to see this whole process. They're never going to tell you this, by the way. They're never going to tell you this. I'll tell you. You're supposed to see what's going on in this process of how everything's put together. And you're supposed to ask questions and branch out into the areas where you're not really that comfortable and see how do you find good sales? How do you get customers? How do you advertise? How do you make money? And then you're supposed to go, oh, I see how to do this. And go one day, hey, I'm going to go do my own thing now. Or I'm going to go take a little sabbatical. Where are you going? You're like such a key central person here. You know everything works. You know everything runs. Like, I know, I just need to go take a sabbatical. And you bail, and you go do your own thing, ding dong. That's the whole point. They're never going to tell you this, but you're supposed to kind of figure it out. And sir, if you see this video, I hope you get this video. I hope somebody forwards it to him. If you don't figure it out, I'm telling you, that's how it works. They're never going to tell you. No one's going to let go of a golden goose, ding dong. You have to put your golden feet on and walk out the door and lay your own damn eggs.
Is you have business managers, you have CEOs, you have people thinking,
right, people that are responsible, that have signed contracts with other people who are counting on them to deliver something that's going to be more valuable than what they're paying for. Ding dong.
What we need to do.
It's business. It's not personal. It's business.
With this part of the business, but we don't have the expertise to build it, so let's bring in some software engineers to build it. And that, I think, is what John Medek was getting at, because I've worked for various companies, and I learned quite quickly that you don't get any freedom when you're working professionally. Unless you're working in
right, you're not going to get any freedom because you're solving a problem for them. Man, why do people think they're going to get freedom from the people that are benefiting the most from you being there? Why do you think they would let you go? They would say, do you think now you're making the millions? I was like, okay, Casey, it's time for you to go. You're making us too much money. You're doing too big of a job for us. We need you to go now.
Research, or maybe you're working for FANG. You might have the freedom to say, okay, hey, I want to do this thing. And,
They don't have the freedom to do that. Come on now. You're living in a fantasy world. They don't do that at FANG. You think you just go jump and work on somebody's stuff for creative? Like, okay, that's what it was like in the beginning. But in the beginning, it's called a startup. So what you want to do is you want to do a startup. You probably want to do your own startup. Or you should do at least 5, because the 6th one is the one that's going to actually make it. That's how it works, man. And people don't like to talk about this because it's a secret sauce. It's like the secret sauce.
I want to integrate this in technology. The vast majority of software engineers don't get that opportunity. For the vast majority.
Right. So, right now, the people at Google are hating their lives right now because they're seeing everybody leave. They don't know when they're going to be on the chopping block next. All the finance people, all they know is how to cut costs. They don't know how to innovate anything. They're not the business. And look, man, here's the deal. You're the creative person. Casey, you're the creative person. You're the one that's actually making all this go. Do you understand? If they could do without you, they would. So here's the thing. You're the dude, man. See what they're doing. Figure out where their things are not going is not efficient, and switch over to something else, and then start building. God damn it.
Majority of engineers, what happens is, you work with designers, you work with product managers, and essentially everybody just tells you what to do.
Correct. That's what they're paying you for. Yeah. And I don't know where this got in this mind where it's like, where do you think, do you have to fight for those? Do you understand they're fighting for their stuff too? They're fighting until they get their stuff right. Do you think that we have to fight for it too? It just gets, it does get tiring, Casey. I agree. It gets tiring because you know better. You
know, they come up with a design, they come up with an idea, they come up with a feature for the software that they already have, or they come up with an idea for an app to, you know, for you to build, and they just give it to you, and then you have to build it. And so what's happening?
Yeah. Until you just go, oh, you mean I could just go build these myself somehow and get the money that you guys, you 17 people that I'm supporting with my labor, the 17 people, the hierarchy, the CEO and the product manager and the product designer and the you mean your efforts directly are paying all their salaries? Do you think they're ever going to tell you that, sir? No, you kind of have to figure this out on your own.
Is software engineering has gone from those
or get some dink like me on the internet yelling at you about it.
early days when you had, you know, people like Zuckerberg building whatever they wanted and, you know, getting rich off it and changing the world.
Oh, do you think he built whatever he wanted? Do you really think he built that? Do you really think? There's a funny reason he doesn't talk about all the technical details because he doesn't know them because he didn't build that. He built the MVP and got handpicked because he was just one that was happening at the time. When they had this LifeLog thing that was failing at the time. So they quit the LifeLog thing, and the moment they met Zuckerberg, they just did his thing. And then they drug him around with the nose, and they would do it. You think that's all his stuff? That's the myth, man. You gotta look beyond the marketing. I know it was maybe your first rodeo through this thing, but you said you've been doing this for a while. You should be paying attention to this stuff by now.
Well, to the situation that we have today, where you essentially just build someone else's idea. You make them rich, you know. And that's not to say we don't get paid a lot to be a software engineer. We do.
Oh, so you're getting paid? Do you think they're getting paid more? Do you think they're getting paid more or less than you? Do you think they're being paid more or less? Yes, they're annoying. What's stopping you from doing theirs? They're doing like all that stuff. It's not their jobs aren't that hard, sir. They just got connections. How do they get those?
But we aren't the drivers of innovation that we used to be, at least most of us. We can be, but the reality is...
You are the driver of the innovation. Creating business value by... It doesn't have to be that you have to be the first one to do it, because all the stuff you're doing, by the way, is on computers. So everything that's been done has been done before. You're not doing anything new, but you're doing something new for this company that sees a market of inefficiency that they want to exploit, which you are getting a little piece of. You should be trying to get this big chunk of it, but you're only taking this little piece because you think that's the only thing that's available to you. Come on, man.
Most of us, you know, we work a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, we get our paycheck.
Yeah, that's the reason why you're never going to pop out of it, because you don't you realize a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, that's the bare minimum. That's just survival. That's survival mode level. You have to do more than that to pop out of that. You have to get to escape velocity. 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, collecting my paycheck. Oh, I'm a software engineer. Look at me. Wow, you know how to write code. Wow.
And during that time, what we do is we just build someone else's idea, you know.
Yeah, that's what they're paying you for. What do you think this is?
You might.
What, I mean, sir, do you think they're going to pay you? Like, oh, you do whatever. Just make somebody else. Make your own thing. I wouldn't care. Now, what they're showing you is like, here's the process. This is how a company works. It doesn't have to be this way. Most of these people don't need to be here. But it's a little easier because we're getting paid free money. And might as well take the load off me and put it on somebody else that I can just pay to do all the work. Which is you.
Have a million and one ideas about how the feature that we're building isn't, you know, going to be successful or isn't the best idea for that product. A lot of times, no one listens to you. Because that is the reality of software.
Well, yeah, because guess what, dude? You need to start realizing what your worth is and start putting yourself, making some hard decisions about what you want your life to look like.
And so I said all that to say that I wouldn't characterize it as grunt work, but
definitely
I do think that a lot of it is essentially we are doing things that we wouldn't necessarily do if we were given the freedom to do whatever we wanted. And
well, no shit, Dick Tracy. That's why they call it work. By the way, all work sucks. All work sucks. All work sucks. Working for them sucks. Working for yourself sucks. Working as a kid trying to make money to get your first computer sucks. It all sucks. Welcome to Earth, buddy. It all sucks. Yes. What the hell? What?
Is I think what he was getting at, and and that's not to say that software engineering isn't fun. That's not to say that's not a great career. I think it is. I just think that
Career. Ugh, weird. Ugh, career. Ugh. Look, your career is what you look back on, not what you have. It's what you look back on and what you did, what you accomplished. What did you put together? You're not your career is like, my career. Your career is to solve problems, however that is. And people will pay you to solve problems. People already do pay you to solve problems, but you're not seeing the big picture. I hope somebody forwards him this video because I'm tearing up a new one. But I was like, dude, you need to see the forest for the trees. Like, look who's doing the work here.
the glamour that became attached to the profession.
The glamour that became attached to the profession. See, there's where he went wrong. The glamour? Are you serious? Coding glamorous? Okay, somebody got some money? Really? Stop.
The way that it started, that glamour doesn't really exist in a day-to-day life for most.
Yeah, no shit, Dick Tracy. You fell for the marketing slime. Don't fall for the marketing slime. Just solve the problems, find your customers, solve the problems, and dude, forget this glamour shit. Don't even worry about the money that much. That stuff comes anyway. Once you start solving people's problems, that shit comes. He already knows how to do it.
Hi, I'm Indy Nidell, and
Right.
this is another...
Stop at that. All right, I'm sorry, I'm ranting a lot. It's just like it pisses me off when people can't see. Like, okay, that time is over. The zero interest rate stuff's done. Everyone's getting laid off. Yeah, maybe we should try some other stuff in the middle of trying. Maybe you still do work, look for work. That's fine, but maybe try and look into some other things like all these AI tools make it possible so one person can write an Android app, a web app, iOS app, desktop, and the front end, and the web, and the back end, all in one language, all one code base. Come on, that's never happened. We've had these promises of these cross-platform solutions, but now they're here. So I do videos about that. KMP. You can see the projects I'm building. I'm going to build some more, and give me a like and subscribe. I'll talk to you later.